Good evening and a warm welcome to your weekly tech and social media news show network. My name is Refilwe Mwilwa and I'll be in the driver's seat while my colleague Phumile Lezondi is away. Tonight, we're taking a look at e-learning in South Africa. We find out what the latest technology and innovation indicators report has in store. We also have information on 2 new mobile phone applications that allow people to live stream themselves, And remember that we are live. Find us on SABC News Network on Facebook and Twitter, or if you prefer email, our address is newsnetwork@sabc.co.za. The latest Technology and Innovation Indicators report has been released. It finds that a lot of tech innovation happens in South Africa, but says it is not enough and sometimes isn't being used properly. The private sector is also blamed for not doing enough to help.
Over the years, South Africa has been responsible for many great tech contributions, like this Lodox full-body scanner, which is used in medicine and has even been featured in Hollywood TV shows. Here on Network, we've told you about many South African innovations that can assist in different ways, like this new mobile phone app that helps in the fight against xenophobia.
Is the ability for citizens to start reporting incidents of violence, xenophobia, through utilizing this application, telling us where they are, providing potentially a description and maybe a photo or some content around what's happening.
But the latest Technology and Innovation Indicators report says this is not enough. The big problem cited here is that the economy is not benefiting from most tech innovations coming out of South Africa. Experts say this has to change.
Clearly there is a missing link whereby the innovation progress that we are making and the development of technological skills is not finding its way through into improving actual economic activity at this stage.
In the past, the government has said that there are many brilliant tech initiatives in South Africa and is often happy when they assist in solving the country's problems, as was the case when the We Are Africa app was launched.
Using the space that we occupy, we are very thrilled that those who work within the science and innovation system felt that we could do more and that they could do more with the creativity and ingenuity that exists within the sector.
Some at the launch of the Technology and Innovation Indicators report say the private sector is to blame for the reluctance to invest in South Africa's innovative ideas.
The work that's being done by the science councils and universities is unbelievably important. But if we don't put it into the private sector, into businesses and products and services, then actually all those great ideas sit in a drawer somewhere.
There have been reports that have said even some small island nations in Africa appear to fare better than South Africa in technology. But at least the Technology and Innovation Indicators report tells us where the problems are so the country can start fixing things.
Now for some bleak news for all you maths and science enthusiasts. The latest survey by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, has placed maths and science standards by high school pupils in South Africa amongst the worst in the world. And this is not the first survey of its kind to give us this poor rating. Zele Kaswani explores what this means for future scientific and technological development in South Africa.
Excellence in science and mathematics will help South Africa reach for the stars. Future generations can become great space explorers by launching into the universe, listening out for alien voices, and creating exciting tech brands that will fascinate the world. But excellent we are not. At least not at primary or high school levels when it comes to standards in learning the physical sciences. This is a worrying conclusion that our best minds in the advancement of the sciences are concerned about.
If you look at the results, the past 3 years of the results of the grade 12 and also the team's report, there is an indication of some form of improvement. It is, however, as I said, not yet enough.
In the last week, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development released its findings of the survey of 76 countries from all corners of the world. Their study found that out of 76 countries surveyed in maths and science among 15-year-old high school pupils, South Africa ranked an embarrassing 75th. Our high school pupils are simply not grasping the maths and science subjects, and the country is already feeling the negative effects of these poor standards. This is according to Vanessa Ralph, a job recruiter in information technology.
Unfortunately, the courses that we require for the IT specialists to be doing, either like a BSc, information sciences or something along those lines, requires them to have good maths and science marks to get into the courses. And their maths marks and their literacy levels are often so weak that they don't get into the courses.
But there is hope for the country as South Africa is taking lessons from global achievers, particularly from the 5 best-placed countries on the OECD results list that all happen to be from the Asian continent.
We are stealing some of the concept. I mean, even with the curriculum, we do steal some of those concepts from those Asian countries. And in terms of how we approach the learning and teaching, we are trying to contextualize it as much as possible.
We're not being entrepreneurial enough in the IT space when we have such potential, but it's not being unleashed and unlocked at school.
The constant low ranking in the physical sciences for South African learners needs urgent attention. As home to the largest science project in the world, the Square Kilometre Array, South Africa has to create a large and competitive scientific base of young minds. Currently, the numbers in mathematics are not adding up and the science formula is incomplete.
Increasingly, drones are being used for anything from aerial photography to grocery deliveries. And this means our skies are getting crowded with planes and birds already occupying that space. So the South African government, like its global counterparts, is looking into ways to regulate who gets to fly drones. So owners of drones, beware. You will need a license to fly them, and this new legislation comes into effect on the 1st of July. Aldrin Sampier has the details.
Unmanned aircraft soaring in popularity, from being used by media houses to house parties. Operating drones has never been legal in South Africa until now, but not just anyone can own one.
An applicant for a remote pilot license shall not be less than 18 years of age, hold at least a valid Class 4 medical certificate for beyond visual line of sight operations.
The restrictions include flying adjacent to or above a crime scene, a court, prison or police station, flying 50 meters above a person or building, flying above 120 meters above the surface of an air drone, any place from which an aircraft takes flight. Flouting these regulations could lead to jail time of 10 years.
If you're in Cape Town, you will physically have to fly to Gauteng because you must appear in front of that council personally. What's the cost?
They argue that the regulations and the cost involved will bar small business owners from entering the market. Aldrin Sampier, SABC News, Johannesburg.
And now let's take a look at what's been headlining your technology news this past week across the world.
It seems like Madagascar school kids will be joining some of their African counterparts in the digital learning space. This after authorities of the Indian Ocean island rolled out a digital learning solution that uses interactive whiteboards.
We can show the students images and pictures of their materials. This offers a great advantage to the students as well as for us teachers because it facilitates the teaching process. They receive the information through images as well as sound.
Powered by a small solar-charged battery, the Sankor Digital Learning Program was initiated in 2010 and aims to introduce digital technology in primary and secondary schools around the world. Now off to the world's most populous country, China. Following its successful landing on the moon in 2013, China has decided to explore space even further by aiming for Mars.
I think we'll follow the international practice and conduct explorations on Mars and on even further asteroids in line with China's actual situations. It is very natural and we're in the stage of augmentation.
China admits that the exploration might be challenging, but not too much of a task. Meanwhile, at the US of A, popular social network site Facebook announced that its newsfeed will be getting more newsy. This is by adding articles directly published from a select group of media outlets onto the site's newsfeed.
Facebook has 1.4 billion active users. If you can start to get your journalism in front of them and there's an economic upside to it, I think it's going to be really hard for publishing companies to resist this.
The publishers, which include the New York Times, BuzzFeed, and National Geographic, will be able to publish instant articles that will load more than 10 times faster than standard mobile web articles. Still on American soil, telecommunications giant Verizon Communications made headlines this past week by revealing that it plans to buy the American multinational mass media corporation, America Online. However, the news was not well received by some.
AOL has the potential for being a serial killer in the sense that Time Warner had a very poor experience with AOL. If you remember, Time Warner paid a huge price for it, about 12 years ago, 12 plus years ago, and it disemboweled that company.
The purchase will cost Verizon about 52 billion rand. The company hopes that this acquisition will push their business into mobile video and targeted advertising, therefore taking it to the next level. Well, guess this is the official end of dial-up internet connectivity. Meanwhile, American internet giant Google is finally putting the self-driving car to the test on public roads. The prototype vehicle will be out in the streets during the summer in America.
Stay with us. After the break, we will discuss the government's digital classrooms. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. See you after the break.
Sup, peeps? I heard some people don't bother voting. They say it makes no difference. If only they knew. Nearly 400 councillors won by fewer than 250 votes in the last local elections. One vote is all it takes to win an award, and that one vote is mine. Boom!
Technology is all around us and is improving lives across Africa, like how young Nigerians are connecting to the internet. There are doctors finding new ways to save lives in Cameroon, and the South African public transport system that is now getting Wi-Fi. We have gadgets, apps and loads more, some of which play a big role in Africa's growth. A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. To find out a bit more about social media and technology news from here in Africa and abroad, join me, Phumela Lezondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. Crime has once again reared its ugly head and is affecting our learners. The Gauteng Department of Education has rubbished reports that suggest the provincial government's plan to distribute tablets into classrooms to improve education has come to an end with the recall of up to 88,000 tablets. The tablets have not been removed indefinitely but will be returned once newer and more stringent security features have been installed.
South Africa has been embarking on a massive project to give tablets to schools. The government has teamed up with the private sector on this, but in the last few days we're hearing that this will no longer be happening in Gauteng. But the province's education department says this is not true.
On the 23rd of July, all our matric classes in Gauteng are going paperless.
In addition to this, tablets that have been taken from schools will be returned with tighter security features.
We are putting systems, we've just developed a new software that will allow us to track this system at a very high level.
The Provincial Education Department says 6,500 tablets already have tracking devices. It says in the past it has lost 11 of those with this system but managed to trace 6 and believes the 5 it never recovered were most likely never switched on after they were stolen.
To discuss the rollout of tablets in South African schools, I'm now joined in studio by Dr. Ruben Dlamini, who is the head of Educational Information Technology at Wits University. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network tonight.
Thank you for your invitation, Rafil.
Dr. Dlamini, as a start, has enough research been done about specific needs of specific schools that will receive these tablets or that have received these tablets?
I think in the South African context, this is an area that is under-researched and is also under-theorized. And in most cases, people are thinking that theorization is just intellectuals' gymnastics to try and put their points across other spaces in a way that they know everything, how to fix things in a complex environment.
All right. And, I mean, studies have come out saying that schools are ready for e-learning and paperless classrooms, but what about the teachers?
Well, I think it depends. First of all, context is king, and we need to make sure that this is referred within the South African context. Yes, within the international community, maybe they are ready. But when it comes to the South African context, I doubt if people are ready for this. And especially when it comes to teachers, you need to understand that teachers are underprepared. And teachers have been on the job and applying different pedagogical skills or techniques to deliver courses. And then suddenly to be, for ICT tools to be superimposed on them, I think is flawed.
And I mean, now, with the recent reports that some have been stolen and, the tablets have been recalled, what's your take on that? Well,
my understanding is that computing devices in South Africa, they are still luxury. So there is a possibility that people are going to take advantage of learners and try to mark them and take them away from them. But my understanding that they have been recalled is that they are installing security features to make sure that the computing devices are in the right hands at all times.
Sorry about that. You say context is important and you think, the South African teachers aren't ready. But this project, it's about 2 years in the making that they've been, researching and studying. Anything that you think or recommendations that you might make to the Department of Education to better navigate this route going forward?
We need to take a multi-dimensional approach. We cannot underestimate multidimensionality of such projects. And then we need to make sure that the stakeholders are involved, especially teachers, because these are people that are driving cognitive development of learners in the classrooms. And also there is 3 types of knowledge that is at play. There is the content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and technological knowledge. And then as a country, we need to make sure that we theorize the technological knowledge, so that we don't create knowledge blindness out there.
Interesting point over there. So, Dr. Dlamini, I mean, tablets may be able to sign, the death warrant of the chalk, the duster and chalkboard, but what about the fact that literacy rates are very shockingly low? So if the kids can't read in the first place, what's the point then of having tablets?
Well, that is why I'm saying, we need to do research in this space, and then so that we develop theoretical frameworks that will enable us to collect data and then understand our space. Because currently we are depending or we are relying on international community information or research that is done in different contexts. So in our case, with literacy rates at the lowest at the moment, then first of all, we need to understand these devices. First of all, we're not developed for educational purposes. Then we need to have research that will enable us to unlock the space. How can we take advantage of these tablets to enabling the development of reading and writing of our learners?
Okay. And I mean, what you've just said now is interesting because, the MEC, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, said the use of textbooks and chalkboards has proven to waste crucial time. And that's why they rolled out the tablets, that they'll save, resources for everyone. So do you think then that exposure to tablets will significantly, improve learning in schools?
I think the potential is there. And the benefits of ICT, it's there, it's well documented in the international community. But we need to contextualize it within the South African context. I am not sure if it is a waste of time of using chalk and whiteboards. I think ICT tools are there to enhance what we are already doing and what teachers have already been doing well. They are not there to replace what teachers are doing in the classroom.
Aha, interesting. Just as in closing, Doctor, over 15 billion rand is going towards this initiative. You've said, context is key. It doesn't help to look at overseas models and how they're being done. So what do you think is a way forward, recommendations that you can make?
My suggestion is that government starts to invest heavily in schools of education and create centers of excellence whereby technological knowledge is developed so that and it's meaningful to our context.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time, Doctor. It's appreciated.
Thank you very much, Briefly.
Context is key, as you've just heard. That was Dr. Ruben Dlamini, Head of Educational Information Technology at Wits University. Do you have any comments or even suggestions as to how the government can better manage this initiative despite crime statistics? Have your say and post them on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter. See you after the ad break.
Information-hungry viewers stay with SABC News, as issues on the West are different from issues on the East or here in Johannesburg. So it is not surprising that people who follow the news know that there are two things for sure: that anything can happen, and SABC News will tell you when it does. Because we keep the nation fully informed. We are SABC News.
Engulfed in crises. That's how the United Front sees South Africa.
This South Africa is not one of our dreams. It is not the country we deserve and demand. This South Africa is not meeting the needs of its young people.
Well, President Jacob Zuma said Eskom's woes are a challenge but not a crisis.
We have a plan to deal with the matter, and it's a good plan when we can say we have a crisis. Now we have a challenge and we've got a solution.
That's business news, weekdays at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. On this week's review, we look at two mobile apps called Meerkat and Periscope. These are live streaming applications that were used to illegally broadcast the recent Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao multi-million-dollar boxing match.
Periscope, a mobile app that turns anybody into a live broadcaster. In just a few months, the Twitter-owned app and rival Meerkat have gained millions of users. New York University's Sean Van Every says there's a reason for their appeal.
The act of witnessing, right, the act of seeing something as it unfolds where anything could happen, I think really keeps people's attention.
Both Meerkat and Periscope are linked to Twitter, sending out notifications to followers at the start of a live stream. And while most are of mundane things such as people walking on the street or driving cars, experts think they can have a big impact in security, journalism, and even retail.
146 people are watching.
You should come to Union Square.
Khan has been testing the apps for optimal viewership.
I think that medium length, 2 to 3 minutes, has seemed to be the best. And you start seeing after that, unless it's something that's really interesting, that it starts tapering off.
But there's a flip side. Some fear the apps encourage video piracy after thousands tuned in to watch a costly boxing match, avoiding hefty pay-per-view costs. Van Every says broadcasters will have to figure out ways to coexist with the new medium.
It's going to be used in negative ways, it's going to be used in positive ways, but I think the genie's out of the bottle. I'm not sure that we can put it back.
Periscope is currently exclusively on iOS, while Meerkat is available on both Apple and Android devices.
Interesting story. Let's now take a look at what some people have been sharing on social media.
The Nedbank Cup has been trending in social media after Sundowns beat AX Cape Town on penalties to be crowned champions. The Democratic Alliance leader, Musi Maimane, held a Twitter town hall a few days ago. The hashtag #AskMusi trended for 3 days internationally. But many of the questions Maimane had to answer were not related to his politics. People wanted advice on information on strange and ridiculous things too. Many were also tweeting about the coronation of Xhosa King Mpendulo Zwelonke Sithau. There were different views on that.
Well, that's how we come to the end of the show tonight. Thank you so very much for being a part of our network. Remember that you can find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And it's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with a video from MIT. They demonstrate how the future of computing will be using the sense of touch. From me and the rest of the team, it's a good night.